Okay, it's your boy Kamal Hart on the chart. We're going bar by bar. You can already see on the screen we have this huge uptrend. Um, Man, today was a challenging day for me. It's funny how I was listening to this really great trader. She's a legend. Her name's Linda. I can't really pronounce her last name, but she was just talking about how sometimes in the markets when things can go wrong, they will go wrong. And man, today was that day for me. Um, but it's okay. Nothing that we can't survive. And I honestly learned a lot about my strategy and a lot of where I have holes. So, although most of my losses weren't necessarily on the ES, I did have maybe three trades on the ES. But either way, we're just going to go over the sort of the entry techniques and stuff. And as I see things that apply in general, I'll bring them up. But first of all, starting today, we're going to have this little uptrend. And I was watching this early in the morning, like step one of just today not being my ideal trading day is I had a lot of pressure. Um, I guess you would call it pressure, but I didn't see it as pressure that much. I felt fine, but being the first, trading day of the year, you want to start off on a good note. I was trading a new account. I had at the time, you only see these two markets on my chart, but at the time I had like six markets on the chart, which is way too much. That's part of what I mean by like my strategy needs some improvement. Just narrowing down and sticking to three markets per day or something like that. But let's just hop in and talk about the trades. I still have a really gnarly report to do, so I can't spend too much time today on the video. But I see an uptrend here. And that's purely just based off of, oh, if you're coughing in the back, I have my sick girlfriend over there making it through, and she's a warrior, so she's doing her thing. But just excuse the coughs. Um, I see the uptrend here. I'm using that uptrend because that line looks funny now, right? That works. Okay. Just because we have kind of three bounces all above the EMA. Um, that's what we'd expect. So I can make a trend there. I'm going to zoom in. So at this point, here was our first entry. This is a technical pattern. I know a lot of people use this pattern. I almost entered this trade myself, but it's just not really one of my patterns. So I didn't buy this. But on this next bar here, I saw this like little lip, and that's a second entry long, but we're too close to the highs, so I wasn't down to buy that. It would have gave you just what you needed, not much more though. But I was just like, hey, it's the irony of me not taking this trade and it working, and then you see some of the other trades I took and they didn't work. It was just a day like that where early on, all of the aggressive looking trades that I'm just like, no, that's not a good setup. Don't take that. That's not the way you should take the setup. Later on, it's just like, wait, where did that go? It went out the window or something. So I'm laughing, but it's really not funny. It was poor performance today, but it happens. It happens. That's part of being a trader. Um, if you can't live with the losses, I mean, you definitely won't be a winner. So, this is shit. I mean, what can you say? Okay, let's actually talk about these trades. Um, so we get the pullback here, touch off that EMA. Um, got a triple bottom. I'm just waiting. It's important to notice that off this trend channel, there was a breakdown and move to a new high. So we need to be on guard for any kind of reversal pattern and be on guard to get our next set of lines on the chart. So as we start to close below this EMA, I'm gonna be paying attention, but I need it to swing below this point before I really start looking for what I would say shorts. And it swung below there. Now I just want to see a close. For all intents and purposes, that's going to be good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put a line going right through there. And so we're moving down off that, bar, second entry short below there. I have a little cough myself, but it's a little sideways right now. It's been a really strong uptrend. I'm not looking to go short right there. But it pulls back to the EMA and gives me a bigger bar, but that signal bar is not good enough, so I'm still going to wait. And then we get a kind of like an engulfing bar right there. But the way it sets up, this is right here at the open, we've already moved below our trend, so we basically had a breakout and a move to a new low already. So I'm not really into that particular trade. But I'm going to measure this leg and see if maybe we can get a failed second entry type trade or something. And boom, that one shoots off. And now back to this idea of when should you or should you not have lines on the chart. Well, once you play out, once your lines and the structure plays out, you should then look to add a new line. So like right here, I had this leg down, it broke out, and it moved to a new low, and then prices went below the EMA to above the EMA, and then they closed above a previous swing. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this needs another line itself. It's a little small micro trend, of course, but that warrants a line. So I'm gonna be playing something off there, and now we're getting that breakout. Um, you're getting a push higher, kind of like a double top right there. A nice bull signal bar. Nothing I can use yet. Then right here, if we get a break above, this is going to be the failed second entry short off this low. See, it went lower once, fails, it went lower again. Once it breaks above, I want to go long there. Doesn't break above, pulls back big time. But on this bar, you see how this red bar isn't below that swing? But then with this bar, it went below the swing and then closed back above these prices and above the EMA. I like that for a failed second entry type trade. So I went long right there. You can see that. Pretty easy scalp. Nothing really too complicated about that trade. I still had a runner on the table, and for that runner, as aggressive as it might seem, I've really come to the conclusion that you have no idea where the market is truly going. So you never really know. Sometimes it's just your job to do the analysis, set up your stop losses and your take profits, and then just walk away. So at best case scenario, I had a my swing trade up there. Now a lot was going on today. Like I've been traveling for work. I got no sleep. although this is my first ES trade, I had been trading NASDAQ and I'd been trading other things, and I was already down a few $100s. And typically I'm not down much at all. So uh, safe to say I was a little bit on tilt and I wasn't seeing the market for what it was. For instance, like even though uh, there's a nice uptrend in the pre-market, it's pretty clear that the EMA is kind of flat right now. So this is kind of looking like a range. There's not a lot of confirmed lows, to be honest. It's kind of hard to see the exact lows because we don't have like a double bounce yet. But it's pretty clear that we're going above and below, above and below. So that that take profit way up there, that was a little aggressive. And then we got this kind of reversal bar, and this is the first sort of like double top right there. So let's go ahead and get a line there. So I kind of have that double top. I don't have a clear bottom, but I'm just going to go to the lowest closes. That's what I like to do. I just like to go to the lowest closes because it just gives me the widest range and the least, it's not room for error, but just the least chance of like getting in too early. Because if my range line is somewhere up here or like up here, I might be looking to buy on a touch when really the market needs to test down here. So I'd rather just take it to the widest place. And if it bounces early, so be it. But at least um, I won't be kind of suckered into like entering too soon or something. So as you see my analysis, um, you're going to wonder what the hell I was thinking during the day. And I'm still kind of wondering what I myself am still wondering what the hell I was thinking today. Um, but the nice thing is that when you go back and you really look at the charts and you really have a clear head again, you realize that the trades, they still work. But for whatever reason during the day or during the session, um, you just didn't see it that way. And that's what we're working on in terms of the process. This is the hard work, is just analyzing your process so that next time you have a very consistent process regardless of what the market is doing, so you don't get fooled as easily. So we have this big reversal bar. I'm still in on a swing trade, on a swing contract. It's pulling back. I don't mind. I'm supposed to let it pull back. Um, and then we get this hold off the EMA and then a little push higher. And then we get this second bar. Now at this point, I should be really thinking about the exit. Um, it's just an obvious, you know, reversal type pattern. In fact, it's a second entry short to this low. See where I entered first entry, second entry. So it's a second entry short. I mean, I should be thinking about exiting this, but I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna make it all back if it goes up. So I'm just gonna hold it, and that's the wrong mindset. That's a terrible mindset. Um, so I just held it, and I ended up exiting break even +1, which isn't terrible, but I could have easily exited at the highs here on the closes of this bar. That's just a more structured exit, in my opinion. Okay, so now that we see that, what did I do next? Well, when we got this green bar that broke above, I entered there. Um, Off this low, it's a second entry. It's a failed second entry short, right? So this low went lower, fails, goes lower, fails. But a lot of key points. At the time, truth be told, I was just so on tilt. I didn't even have the lines on the chart. I literally was just like, look, it's going up. It's got to go up. It better go up. I'm going to go, kick a door down if it's not up. So it'll be up. And that's dumb. So I entered there. But as we can see now in our analysis, it's clearly in a range. This is the wrong side of the we're on the wrong side of the range to be going long. So that's step one of why you could have avoided this trade. And then two, if you did enter this trade, you notice how it broke above and then closed back inside. So that's our signal that it's going to be a sort of like a trap or a failure. So once it closed back inside, I should have been looking to exit with one tick. But once again, I was just so convinced that no, if it does come up to this place, I'm going to be good. And I didn't pay attention to that little thing, that little sign right there, that it wouldn't work. And on that next bar, it ticks above and then just completely reverses and stops me out. Now, all of my exits today, what I can say is that for today being such a terrible day on my part, I didn't take any like big losses, like any just runaway losses, which earlier in my career, I earlier in my career, I definitely would have. I definitely would have been like, no, it'll come back. I'll let it come all the way down here and then bounce and maybe add and then it'll come back. Um, I'm actually really proud that you know I get out where I'm supposed to get out. If my idea is wrong, my idea is wrong, and that's just the end of that. But yeah, so I lost that trade. Whatever. So anyway, we're in the range. We're kind of stuck in this upper half of the range. Ideally, we need to get short up here and get long down here, like always. So let's wait and see what we get. And we get that push into the lower side. Imagine if I tried to hold that would just been catastrophic. Um, you get this double bottom and then this big green bar sort of push. Um, if we were to talk about getting some sort of like micro trend line or like a slanted line, I don't typically care, too much about getting that line on here. But let's say if I was going to do that in this situation, we have a lower high there and a swing lower on this big green bar, or sorry, or this big red bar. So there's maybe like a trend line like that going through there. So at this point, we're getting that pullback, a push higher, and then like see this bar, like this is a pretty good place to go short, right? Because off this high, it's a failed second entry long, even though this is kind of a nice bull push. But the idea is that it tries to go higher twice, and then when it fails that second time, you just go short on the break below. Um, and then you think about this trade, it's on the right, it's on the upper side of the range, so the probability is pretty good that a short is going to be profitable. And then to these lows, it's a second entry short. So this is a little aggressive, just because it broke and then closed back inside. So that might have made you scratch the trade a little early. But this would have been an entry that I would have liked to take. I wish I would have taken. And it took a little second, but it continues on and it pushes down, and you get a nice move off of that one. So what I want to see now is maybe somewhere to get long if it lets me get long. And we get this like congestion here on the lower side. There's nothing there that I see that I'm really into right now. Um, it's just kind of going sideways. Even though this is a nice, push, you can't realistically take that trade real time at least. And then what I'm gonna see now is that we have this leg breakout, move to a new leg, 2 legs down, um, and then when it pulled back and fails, I'm gonna go ahead and give that another micro trend line, right? Because now we've broken out of our range and possibly we're doing something different. So I want to kind of gauge that and see if I can get some shorts going. And that one pushes all the way down. That one goes. It goes, bro. So here's where this was actually my last trade of the day. Such a dumb trade, man. I didn't have any of these lines here. I had the range at this point, but I was just like, look, man, today was shit. I'm just gonna buy this doji because we broke out of the range. I think we're gonna come test this range at some point. Hopefully it's sooner than later. I'm just gonna buy it. Um, that was dumb, dude. And it fails. But at that point, I just had my like my 2 point stop loss in play. I was gonna let that thing ride. Not more than 2 points. 2 points is just the standard. So usually I tighten it to the signal bar. But since this isn't really a signal bar for a trade, this is just an impulse trade. Um, I just let the 2 point thing go, and then we get this push higher. So I was just waiting and get another little push, and then when we get this, reversal bar, I should have been really trying to get out, but I just, I wasn't really in my right mind anymore. So um, I had my stop just one tick below that, one tick below this red bar right here, just right there, and it faked like it was gonna do something good for me, but it ultimately just fails. And that was my ES trading day. Um, like I said, there were a lot of things going on before these 3 trades that led to such a just bad decision making on my part. But I like to keep these reviews consistent, and it's a lot easier when you get used to one market before you jump to like a bunch of different markets and stuff like that. So we'll continue. Um, so now that we have this sort of area, you can see right here, this bar is inside of that bar and then inside of that bar. So there's like some congestion going on through there, something like that. And then, now that we're here, you might as well just take this whole area and treat this whole area like a congestion area. And then right there, you kind of get this like a double bottom, higher low, bullish sort of trade. Um, I'm not into that just because it doesn't look clean. Like it's a double bottom, but it's not a second entry long. It's just a first entry to the high. Um, that's a hard part about certain setups like this is like they look good and they almost look like the setup, but they're not quite the setup. And I'm to that point where it's like if it's not the setup, I don't really want to take it. You know, the interesting thing is that when I make these videos, I look at every single bar and I try to like show every trade you could have taken. But in reality, when you're actually trading, I mean, you just need one or two trades, and then that's it. You don't need to take every trade. So if I saw this, I'm not too pressed to like take that. And so the same goes here. This is a second entry short to these lows. It looks cool, but let's keep this in mind, right? We had our trend, it broke out, it made a new low, and there's kind of like this range going on already. You're selling the breakout of the range. That's not really where you want to go short, so I'm skipping that as well. And that one gives you that would have trapped you if you would have took that. So um, you know stuff to keep in mind. And then here is the like kind of like a failed second entry short. Once it breaks above, you got to remember that real time this bar would close and then the next bar it breaks one tick above or whatever. And so when this bar broke above, um, even though that's a setup, let's just use our range rules and throw the midline in there, and you can easily see that we're on the wrong side of the range to be buying. So that's not where you want to be buying. So I would have skipped that as well. Uh, you get a big red bar. Looks nice. Looks like it's something, but it breaks below the signal bar. I don't know. It's nothing. And I don't know. Let me see. Would you have gotten a scalp to on a limit order? You would have exited your scalp. Let me see if you get more. No, you don't get more. Yeah, on a limit order you would have exited, but on a stop you wouldn't have been out yet, and now you're just stuck in the middle of this kind of like range area. So let's zoom out a little bit and just get a feel for what's going on the day, because that's another really important thing, is that sometimes we're so locked into these micro trends that we lose sight of what's going on the bigger picture. And you can already see that overall it's kind of looking like a range, like just the overall day is kind of rangy. It's bounced twice here and it's turned down off these highs quite a few times. So really what we're looking at is a range, and that's going to color the rest of our trades moving forward. So now that we got that, um, we get that sort of like kind of a reversal bar, but once again, we're still going to respect this congestion area we have, even though we have the bigger range. Um, I mean, even if we did have the bigger range, we're not trying to go short on this side of the bigger range. So there's no reason to even look at this and feel any type of way about it, to be honest. So even if you look at it on the big picture or the small picture, once you get the lines and you have the right lines, it works both ways, whether you're on the big picture or the small picture. You just have to keep in mind the rules and just don't get caught up trying to like make a quick buck down to here, make a quick buck, stealing a scalp or something. Um, and so cool. This is an interesting place. Second entry long, right? Off to this high. First entry, and once it breaks above, that's a second entry. On the smaller range, we're on the lower side. On the bigger range, we're on the lower side. Um, I don't remember if this one works, but it's a setup. Let's just call it. Yeah, that would have worked. And you see how it turns right above or right at that right before this area what we have marked. That's how it goes. You don't get much on it, but you would have got enough for your scalp. Um, and then we kind of getting that bounce again, which off these lows, that's kind of like a double bottom, but that signal bar is not that great at the moment. Now we're getting a push higher. And what I want to see, um, we're still working on it, but what I really want to see is before I start making any of my diagonals, I need to see some sort of like breakout, like we're doing, a pullback, and then a continuation. And then I'm going to give it a diagonal. But until then, just this like breakout right here, when I see this, I'm just expecting it to come back into this range or something, or like test the highs or something. I'm just waiting. So you get a push. So here's that sort of, here, man, it keeps doing that. Here's that pullback that I'm talking about. And then you get a nice sort of, this is not a nice anything. I don't know. This is just a weird bar. I rarely even see bars that look like that. That's just kind of weird and ugly. So we're waiting. Um, you know, at this point we have the it is kind of like the the pullback, but the continuation is stalling. It's kind of just, it's kind of going sideways. It's kind of going ugly. It looks too nasty. I'm not going to want to take a position based off of that. Um, and then you see these matching tops, and then with this bar, my only issue is that we're on the wrong side of the larger trend. But like I said, with there's a reason why we haven't drawn a diagonal or a micro trend yet, and it's because we haven't really continued. So this might be an aggressive place to go short, but I know it's like a second entry short, right? From this low, first entry, second entry. Gives you just enough. And then it hits that EMA, and see that, it doesn't really go that far or anything. So I want to be super stressed on that. And look how that one goes all the way back down to the bottom. Um, it's just too nasty to really, like right there on that bar, you can kind of see where we're coming from, but it's just really too nasty. So we're just, gotta take your time, gotta wait it out. That's cool. And then small little bar at the lows. Let's wait to see if we can get some sort of like higher low or something. Gotta push. You notice how, you know, from this original congestion area, we broke out, came back in it, broke out the low side. Now we're right back in the middle. That's pretty much all it's doing. Here's kind of the higher low that we're talking about. If you're going to look at the overall trend, you know, you might risk that, but it's going right into that EMA. I'd be a little nervous about that. That one works out. I'm so tempted to give this a micro trend, um, because of this higher low. Uh, and you see, look at that. See how that set up right on my midline? I like that. Whenever it sets up on the midline with a good signal bar, not to say that it's 100%, but those usually work. But you'd be surprised even when it's one tick past the midline, those trades won't work. But see how that one's like right there on my midline? That's a really good sign that the price structure and the lines you're using for your price structure are valid. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and give that a micro trend. let's just see how this line, let's see how this line treats us. So we're getting our first pullback. There we go. We get that failed second entry short, but see, once it broke above and then closed back inside, um, we're thinking, okay, this might be a trap. You're gonna want to try to exit somewhere if you can, and you probably didn't. You would have gotten, you would have gotten trapped, and that's exactly what I mean by I don't really like getting those micro trends on there too early. So really, what I suggest doing, and I'm just suggesting this to myself, is I would just extend this range, you know, until I get a nice um, breakout pullback. Yeah, until I get a nice breakout pullback, I'm in no rush to add a micro trend, like the ranges always should be respected. So I'm gonna just leave that, right there and say that, something like that. And it's a little confusing, because you have this like bigger range, um, and then like a smaller range. It gets a little confusing to kind of decide which one we're going to be using. I'm not going to lie. Um, so we're working. This is what I mean by the breakout pullback, though. So it ended up coming just a little later. That's just how it goes. But you see right there, that's a second entry long to that high. That would have been an aggressive one. But right here, see my um, little congestion. So we broke outside, then we broke below a previous bar, and then you know continued higher. Now, now I want to throw this on something like there. And I want to see if this channel will hold. Let's see if this will take us to the top side and how many trades we can get. Um, See how that's just going sideways, this bar inside of that bar inside of that bar. So we're just waiting. Fortunately, we're back on this side of the of the range. So um, you know, just gotta wait. Let's see how we pull back or something. There's your pullback. That's the key. You just really have to be patient. Something I didn't do today, but just be patient and it'll pull back because you're not the only one looking at this thinking, okay, I want to get long, but I can't get long up here. And once enough buyers stop buying, sellers get confident and they start selling, thinking, oh, this is my chance. But really, what's happening is that buyers are just waiting. The buyers are just waiting. And once enough buyers are confident again, like, okay, yeah, this is a good place to buy, buyers are going to start to add up. And all of these sellers who were just selling, they're going to have to exit. And that's going to shoot your trade into the right direction. So sometimes it feels like the market is like listening to your head, and it's not that the market is listening to your head, it's that there's thousands of other people thinking exactly what you're thinking, and the game is just who's going to execute that plan um, as flawlessly or more flawlessly than the other person. So on a break above, that's kind of like a second entry long, but this signal bar is not that great. So let's see what's going on. Um, I I don't like that setup only because we're moving down. I want to see this push higher and maybe give a lower or a higher low or something. See like right there. See like right there. but that's kind of an up down bar. I I'm not sure how I feel about up down bars. Maybe this is a little aggressive for me, but maybe some people are gonna buy that. Obviously, some people did buy that, so we'll give it a fair buy signal. Um, that's exactly what we were talking about, right? Is that instead of buying it here, we need a pullback and then a nice signal, and there it goes. Okay, and now we're pushing into the other side of the range. Um, our target is going to be, this high side, but just for measurement's sake, this is going to be leg one. And so, like, if you were holding your runner from this trade, you'd have a target somewhere here and then somewhere up here or something. And there it goes. Almost to the tick, you know. You get some stack up right there. Um, I don't give micro trends when we have the sort of like the breakout. I don't really do that. Only on that initial leg. Um, so we're just gonna wait. But what I could do in this instance is just you know just respect that. Maybe there's a breakout pullback like right there. See that little breakout pullback. It's just, buying up here is going to be really risky. You're not that close to the EMA anymore. Um, for as much movement as the market had today, um, kind of like yesterday or 2 days ago, um, man, there's not a lot of really clear setups. I'm not sure what's going on with the market in particular, but these past couple holidays, it's been very sporadic. Impulse legs up, some congestion, legs up. It's not really like trending or even like nice ranges where there are clear tops and bottoms. There's a nice bottom, but we haven't been to these tops in a while. Um, anyway, that pretty much gets us into 3 o'clock. Um, that's all we would have had time for today. But once you go back and look at it, you realize that, oh, it wasn't all that bad. And the key is just to keep working on your process during the market so that as you do win or lose trades, you don't lose your cool. And I think I didn't lose my cool, but I lost sight of my job, which is to just make quality decisions. And at a certain point, you just start gambling a little bit, and that's never going to be profitable long term. So those are lessons I know. Every trader goes through days like this, so it's not even something to really beat yourself up about too much. It's definitely something to review and work on and add in the things into your strategy and look into your psychology and work on. But it's like any business. You're gonna make money and lose money. No trader, only wins. Like that person is lying to you. Every trader takes losses. So today was my day. Unfortunately, it was the first day of the year, but fortunately, it was the first day of the year. So I was able to learn some valuable things today. I'm going to add those in, and they're going to help me the rest of the year. So that's all I got. It's this changes nothing. We're still full steam ahead, and I'm going to be a little busy tomorrow, but we'll be back again, and we'll see what's popping. Until then, it's your boy Kamal Hart, and I'm signing out because I still got like 3 more charts to do. All right, guys. See ya.